Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Blank Pages. We're answering your questions.
I'm
Very
excited
dangerous.
slash nervous.
I know, I do. I'm like, what are they going to ask?
I
All
know the
right.
questions. So these
Oh,
are
she
all
has a custom.
questions submitted on our social media or also our YouTube channel. If you following up this, if you have any questions yourself that you would like us to answer, we're going to make this an ongoing series. And we do have the question post pinned to all of our social media. So please go there and ask questions. And we will most likely feature your question on an upcoming podcast. So are you guys ready?
I think so.
Boy.
I don't think they're hard. They're just, some of them are a little in depth.
I think
Okay.
I think you'll know
Go.
the answers.
Okay.
Okay. So our first one is, what are the best avenues for printing books? Should I go through Amazon as a new indie, or should I go through a company that will ship to my house and then I send out the books? Barnes and Noble. There are so many avenues. What's the best way to go?
Oof. Ooh.
I mean, I literally all of them. All of them. You should be on
Yeah.
Amazon and you should hit the little checkbox that says extended distribution. You should be on Barnes and Noble Press. You should be on Ingram Sparks. And I know a lot of people had an issue with Ingram a year or 2 years ago with returns. It is a substantial portion of my income and it is worth it. And I also make them returnable. And if they don't sell them, they send them to my house, in which case I put them in my shop. So it's not a big deal for me, but it's a very, very, very small percentage that does get returned. And I end up getting a lot of sales to actually, ironically, Barnes and Noble, because they get them through Ingram Sparks instead of Barnes and Noble Press. And I don't understand that. But it's because they're returnable. So if they don't sell, they're not out of the money. So my answer is all of them.
Yeah, it definitely depends on like what you're looking for as an author. Like if you just want to do like a small little thing, you're kind of giving these away, I don't know, or sending to readers, you can just keep it to Ingram Spark. But if you want to be out there, then you have to be everywhere. Like Amazon, Ingram Spark, definitely Barnes and Nobles, iTunes, like or iBooks. I mean, everywhere. And there isn't a spot that, if you can get your book on it, get your book out there.
Exactly. I agree.
So I'm like with Willow, all of the above. We check D, all of the above.
Check the boxes.
Check them off.
Okay. I'd love to hear about how you write empowered women in romances with dominant men, because all of you get the balance really well.
Oh, that's so sweet. I got told that my heroines cry too much. So I feel like that's empowered. Like anger and sadness are great emotions. We are humans. They're very progressive for change. But I'm gonna let Stacy take this one first, and then I'm probably gonna copy her answer.
Stacy is known for her badass women.
Yeah, maybe because I make them just as they're equals to me and they're badass, but they understand. I've always when I first got in, I was reading a lot why I was big. And I remember there were so many books that the girl was just like, why can't I do that? Because I'm a girl. I'm like, no, because you're an idiot, like you don't have any training. So I wanted to be realistic. Like, okay, sometimes, yes, physically she does have to kind of stand back, but there's other times he's like, go woman, so I think it's that balance of understanding, it's okay to be a man and woman in this situation, but just because, she can't sometimes take on with her fists somebody, but other ways she could kick somebody's ass and like, he's the one going, bowing down to you, woman, so it's to me is making them equally badass, but those could be different areas. It doesn't have to be just because he's a sword fighter. Because she's a woman, why can't she be, like she can be a sword fighter too, but maybe that's not her strength, so I think it's just finding a truth to us being, badass in all our own ways. She could be a bookworm and still be badass, so I think it's that.
I also bet, and this is because I know you as a human being, that you're empowered and that reads through the book. And I know that I've personally done a lot of work. Like I'm a very confident person. I've always been very confident, but there are other aspects that I've had to work on myself. And I do feel like it reflects in my heroines. And like when you go inward and you want these characters to be the best versions that they can be, it's often the best version of yourself, and it's things that you know about yourself that you need in order to be empowered. And I did used to cry a lot, so I did take it very offensively when I would get those
Crying's
reviews.
still empowered. We should use
Yeah.
that. The emotion
Yeah.
isn't weak. It's not weak
I-
at all.
When I do have a scene where she's emotional, I cut out about half of the tears because I know I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable bawling my eyes out, scheduling a therapy appointment and scheduling a tarot reading at the same time, and then I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, I don't think that they're at that part of their healing journey where crying can be a good thing for them and a part of grieving and letting go and understanding, what was here will never be here again. And I'm just going to mourn it and then move the fuck on. Instead, it is seen as a weakness. So I do edit to remove parts of myself that I am self-aware enough to know other people don't value this like I value this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But crying still seems to be like looked at as a weakness.
It is,
yeah.
which is crazy.
It is. But I think, like you said, I'm very independent myself. So I mean, I do everything. I'm I decorate my house. I do everything like inside and out. Like I'm hanging Christmas lights. I'm out with the guys, like on the Christmas balls. So it's like maybe that definitely comes out in my stories too. That I'm, like she would just do this. Like she is her own person, and doesn't need to depend on anybody. So yeah, I think it's just writing it, you find that great balance in between and being like where she can be badass, but we're all badass even when we cry.
Do both of you kind of write part of yourself into these empowered women?
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think of it. I don't think of it, but that's just, I guess it's just natural. Like, cause I don't think I could naturally write somebody that's very timid and weak unless she grew into something stronger. I think
I
it's
don't think I could
it's
see
a
either
natural.
one of you doing that.
No, it's just like I like the girl that's independent. It's like I got this,
Mhm.
So yeah, it's just kind of how I write.
Okay. See, it's been easy so far. Not too bad.
Not scary. Not scary at all. Guys,
I told
feel free
you
to
it wasn't bad.
feel free to comment with your questions, but try not to
Yes.
scare us.
Still make me study.
Yeah, somebody asked me once if I practice with my husband all of the scenes in the books, and I did respond with not the murder ones. Those
Exactly.
those
Good thing. Or you'd be on your like 9th, 10th husband by now.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking about him killing for me, but also sure.
Oh my God, poor Sean.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sean.
Poor guy.
He loved it. He thought it was
Catch a break.
hysterical. Yeah. I used to show him just to see his reaction because it's wonderful.
Love it.
Okay.
This one's a good one. Marketing. What is some good insight on marketing a book, specifically dark romance, but also generally?
So we have a lot of authors who ask, yeah, I love marketing because I love social media, and it is all about the content. Yes. What are you delivering? What are you giving? What is resonating with your audience that's going to convert? So I particularly love this. It's a passion of mine. I post like 3 to 5 times a day on every single platform that is social media, like every single day. And it's like, it literally is like, talk to your friend who loves what you're doing and just share what's going on. And for me, that is the easiest way to do it. Especially with Reels and YouTube Shorts and TikTok, like it makes it so much easier because then I can just have a conversation as opposed to sharing a graphic that looks a lot like everybody else's fucking graphics and having to write down something instead of saying it because your connotation, your intonation, your tones, all of that really matters and it's missing in written text. So my thing is if you want to market, talk to your friend. That's the best marketing. And eventually you're going to have a whole lot of friends who are really excited to hear what you're saying. And it just develops on its own.
And
I really struggle. Yeah. I really struggle with this because I don't like being in front of the camera. I don't like talking. I don't like my voice. So
Which
I'm
is
the one that,
crazy because
yeah.
you're A, beautiful, and
Ugh.
B, you're very engaging and sociable and like and outgoing and a
And she used to be an
butterfly.
actress.
But that was because I could play a part. This is me. And I'm like, people are
Yeah.
like, then play the part. I'm like, that's not how it works. But
No.
I'm very much more of an introvert. I'd rather do the graphics. So I struggle with marketing, and I find, that I'm constantly looking to other people to go, okay, I have to push myself. So marketing can come easy to you, or it cannot. And it's, but in this business, it is talk about an up and down
It
all
is.
around thing. It's never one day. We can't give you
Mhm.
the answer in the sense like, because tomorrow it'll change. The next day
Yeah.
it'll change back. The next day after that changes to something completely different. It's just,
Mhm.
there's no right answer. And I think that's what sucks, is everybody wants that answer. They want somebody to go, you just do this. And probably then the best advice would be to get on social media and talk to your friends, like
Mhm.
talk to, but because that would be the easiest way, because everything else is everyday ads. That's sometimes a nightmare, getting,
Right.
just every kind of marketing thing is always an up and down, like hill battle. It
It
seems
is.
like in this
What
business.
3 years ago, Reels wasn't a thing. YouTube, I
Yeah.
wasn't. I think I had like 3 posts on YouTube. It was on its way out. TikTok, there was no way in hell I was getting on that app. I thought it was like young girls dancing. I had no idea
Yeah.
that had anything to do like that. There was a book talk. That was before Smut Talk even like became a thing, a hashtag, right? So yeah, it is. It's always changing. And I
Mhm.
just, with that respect, I try to get onto every social that comes out and just have a presence there, even if I'm only posting once a month. I posted to Lemon 8 the other day, which
Oh
is like
yeah,
a
I've seen.
Pinterest TikTok like baby
Yeah.
love child. And I have an account. I've had an account, and I just occasionally remember that it exists. So I post just in case something happens and it blows up. Same thing with threads. Like
Mhm.
I don't seem to, I don't have a ton of impact over there, but I'm still present. I make
Yeah.
sure that I'm available so that if there is a reader who's like, I wonder if she's here, I am here. I'm here.
Yeah. But there is
No.
like, I think though, if you get like me, if it's overwhelming, pick 3 or 4 that's what you do. Cause other than that, I start getting anxiety and it's just too much. And, so it depends
Oh,
on your personality. So
and I
yeah.
reuse my content. So this is my tip.
Yeah.
And I have a Patreon, and I told this to the authors of my Patreon a while ago. Every morning I get on a shaker, which is like an oscillating board because I'm lazy, but I have to have like some kind of workout. So I stand on my oscillating board and I go to TikTok, and whatever post did the best the day before, I repost onto YouTube and Instagram, which is linked to Facebook.
Yeah.
And then I go to my drafts where I have something saved for TikTok, and I hit post, and my social media is done for that round. Like completely done within like while I'm sipping coffee on a shaker board. So keep it easy, reuse your
Yeah.
content,
Mhm.
repeat your content, because readers need to see it multiple times before they give it attention, right? That's not even a reader thing. That's just an advertising thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, keep it as easy and simple and fun as you can.
And be
Yeah.
consistent.
Mhm.
And don't be afraid to try new things. You have
Yeah.
to figure out, if you're just starting out, what's going to work for your brand. And what works maybe for Willow won't work for Stacy. And it's just for everybody.
Mhm.
You have to just keep trying. And then one day you're going to figure out, oh, this is what people want to see from me.
Mhm.
I'm still trying to
So,
figure out my TikTok thing. Like eventually I'll get it, but that means I probably have to get on camera.
Yeah. More than they would love you.
probably,
If you got on camera, they would love you.
yes.
Uh,
Just be
I'm
Stacy.
I'm the kind of, I don't
But
wanna.
that's what makes you endearing.
I don't want to be here. I feel like I'm being held hostage. They're
If
like,
you
oh,
literally did a TikTok saying, I don't want to be here, I feel like I'm being held hostage, but I have a new book and Colleen told me I needed to do
Yeah,
this,
I have to
it
be
would
here.
go viral.
it would. It would.
Well, look for that, guys, because I'm going to be held
See, the
hostage
thing
there.
with you is people don't realize how funny you are.
Yeah.
You are freaking hysterical. So I think just like being out walking with Cooper and doing something like that, and then just like, oh, by the way, did you read this book yet?
Sounds so cheesy. Okay,
But
moving
the
on.
cheesy
Next.
things work. Anyway,
Next question.
She's blowing me off again. Also, as an author, how do you know when a book is ready? How many edits? Oh.
I have seen more beginning authors. I mean, I think I had a writing group back in San Francisco that they're probably still sitting on that first book that and rewriting it, editing it. There is a line. There's a definite line that it's then to me it's fear. It's not about the book is ready or not, because we're going to always want to go back and change a line or something like that. If the book is gotten to the point where somebody's looked over it, it's edited, it's been, like it's flowing, it's nice, then to me it's the fear that's stopping you if you want to continue to look at it. I say, but again, everybody's different. Like I edit as I go. Some people are like, I just get it out. So the amount of times I can't say, but I think once you're starting to hit where you're sitting on something and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna have it edited again, that's fear. That's not, that's when you got to get it out, because it's scary to put your heart out there. But I think you definitely have to go. I do at least 2 to 3 people, like different eyes of editors that can look at mine, because I'm a bad speller. So,
and like Stacey said, like this is art, so it's not going to be the same for every single person. And I am one of those authors who I do not edit as I go. I write my chapter and I don't read it until the entire book is done. Then I read it through. And as I'm writing it chapter by chapter, I send it to 2 betas who give me feedback. And those are the only edits that I'll make if there's anything content wise. After I write it, I read it through, I send it to a line editor, and I'm done. I'm going to make those line edits. I'm going to send it to 2 copy editors. But I'm done in terms of content. Like if I read that book through after writing it, which is my favorite part of writing books, when I get to read the story that was in my head and I have the feels that I wanted to feel. And I see, like, I'm a very visual person. So I'm seeing what I saw, and I have that moment. It's not for me anymore. Now it's time for me to give it up to the world. And as I go, I am becoming a better writer. And I know that. So I have gone back and I've rewritten some books and made them better, especially during COVID. I was so low and so sad during COVID. I went back to all of my like small town books and I re-edited them. Yeah. Cause I was like, I need to be productive and I need to make money, but I can't write. Yeah. I was like, I need to feel okay. So when I'm sad, I write happy books, even though right now I have 3 happy books coming out, but I promise I'm not sad. I'm just co-writing. So I'm co-writing with sane people who like writing happy. Yeah.
I'm just coping. So yeah, but I think with you, I'm the same way. Like I do it, like I used to have a development editor just to make sure content, especially with paranormal, it all made sense, but I think after so many, like you do those last edits of like really just cleaning up the thing, you're done. It's no longer your book. It's, you should put it out there. So yeah.
And I think this might shock some listeners how many hands the book goes through too before. Because I know there's a misconception out there right now that you guys write the book, look it over, and put it out. And that is not what happens.
No.
That's a conversation for another day.
It would not do well.
No. Oh God. Well, honestly, people would be like, does she speak English?
I want my money back. I'm not a speller. I'm not good at spelling. The only C in high school I ever got was in English. Like I can tell a story. I can tell a story. And like I remember my first book, The 1 Star. It was an awful 1 star. She tore my ass to shreds. She was like, nothing is described, not the clothes, not the environment. The dialogue is completely missing. There's so much internal dialogue. And she said a few other things. And I was like, okay. And then she said, but I'm going to check out his brother's book because I feel like I'm going to like his story better. And I was like, I might not be a good writer, but I can tell a good story.
Yeah.
So. And you remember that. And I'm sure you drew off of that for future books.
I did. I fixed I used to look at reviews for, that criticism so that I could do better. Now I don't read reviews.
No. They've gotten, that's
you get to a certain point. I think when you're first beginning, they can be helpful and they can, then once you get to a certain point where you understand what you're writing and doing, they'll just destroy you. Yeah. It's just better to be like, it's for you guys.
Even though if it's okay, I know that this has nothing to do with the question, but when I was, writing. I was probably the beginning of my second year, I think. And a reviewer said something. One reviewer made this comment about how I forget exactly what she said, but she said, I'm going to stop the series. I don't think I'm going to be able to continue the series. And it really hit home for me. And I stopped writing, and it really stuck with me. And then last year or the year before, I re-edited it, and I was reading it. I was like, what the fuck was wrong with her? This is awesome. So even though in the beginning reviews can be helpful, don't put all of your faith.
No, because again, that's just one person. That the next person tells you this is great. The next one,
reading is subjective.
Yes. That's what any art, grading any art always makes me crazy, or giving awards like on acting shows. I'm like, how can you say this person was better than this? They're totally two different roles. You can't compare even my contemporary with my, paranormal. It's just, art is so subjective.
Totally agree.
You are correct.
All right. Next question.
All right. Could you also tell your getting started process on a new and current book? What is your writing routine?
Ooh. Crying. When I open that blank page. We're back to this again.
I did start one today. It's a small town romance. It's Kiss Me in This Small Town. And I've had this couple. The couple already exists, so it's kind of like cheating. But the way that I start is I go in, I usually already have the blurb done, and I usually already have the majority of the story in my head, or at least the scenes that I know are going to make it worthwhile, the ones I know that are going to be memorable. So I make an outline that is pathetic because it's like 2 to 3 sentences per chapter, and it's literally like a list. It's like chapter 1, Griffin, and then there's like 3 sentences. Chapter 2, Renee, and then there's like 3 sentences. But it's to me, exactly, it's a start. Yeah. It reminds me of like, okay, so this is where that scene happens, and then I connect A, B, and C, or I leave them blank and I just go for it.
Yeah, you jump around, which I don't anymore.
I do.
I have to go. Yeah. How I start. Oh my God, that blank page. Some people are like, "Oh, it's so exciting." I'm like, I just sob. Like, now I have to do this again. I usually have the story pretty, like, I mean, again, at least the beginning part in my head ready to start. Like I have, I probably did like a skeleton kind of outline that I'll probably never end up sticking to. But I need to know, like, okay, especially if it's a paranormal, I need to definitely have where, because my biggest thing is, like, especially like a TV show, where is it that you want to jump into these characters? Where is that moment? And usually in paranormal, it's action, some kind of action or something like that. But I always find what scene is the best scene that you're coming, this person's living this life, and where are you jumping in and, jumping on this roller coaster with them on this, so I always find that first scene so fascinating, like where in that life sign are you jumping in on them? So, yeah. So I usually will have the night before, like, have it in my brain, like, okay, this is how I'm going to start the scene. Then I can, once like you, I kind of like break that blank page and I write some lines, then things start flowing a bit more. But yeah, the first part of it's always till I get to like 12,000 words, 30,000, 50,000. I'm actually struggling.
50,000 is my full book.
God, I'm not even halfway done. So,
do you guys have like a routine that you do, like before you start writing or when you start writing, like things that you have to do, like good juju for,
I keep earbuds by me, like earplugs, like the orange and yellow cheapies that you can buy like 100 of for $20 on Amazon. Because if I can't focus, I plug my ears with them and I sit cross-legged on the sofa with the laptop. And like, I don't know what it is about it, but it helps me to just focus on that.
Well, it kind of puts you in that world where you can't hear your kid crying or all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I can still hear mommy, for the love of God. I feel like I could be knocked out cold and I will still hear them calling, Mom. Yeah.
It's like the Stewie, Mom.
Literally.
Mom.
Mom, he hit me. No, I didn't. Like, I'll be able to hear it when I'm dead.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better when they get older either. I hate to tell you.
No, I don't have any special, like, I just sit down. Like, to me, that's why I never really like I'm not a big like celebrator when I end a book, because the next day I'm opening another, like it's starting all
Just
over
starting.
again. So yeah, it's just opening the page and getting it, getting the forwards on the page. I think that's really, it's just like breaking that kind of, the blank page there. What?
Oh, here's a fun one that I do. If I'm having problems focusing and like I've got my earplugs and everything, I will get an orange chime candle, which is like bigger than a birthday candle, but it's not like a real candle, and I'll light it. And if the candle is lit, I have to be writing. And I do orange because orange is like the color of focus. It's supposed to help you focus on whatever you're doing. So that's like a little nifty thing that I
Just
do.
paint my wall
Orange.
orange now. And then I'll just stare at it.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's a good one. I'd love to hear some of the behind the scenes tea when you guys wrote your books, specifically regarding character development and plot. Did any turn out completely different than when you started writing? Did a character end up with a certain fate you wish they hadn't, but made the most sense? Are there any tropes you want to cover but haven't? And then she goes on to say, love the podcast, love the co hosts, and of course the
Aw.
hosts. Excited to see this
Sorry, I'm petting my
continue
dog.
to grow and transform.
Yay! And if you
Oh,
guys love
wow.
us, you should like and subscribe and do all that stuff too. Just plugging us.
Yeah. Why you're when I'm
Shameless
petting
little
my
plug.
dog. Oh God, that's a doozy there.
Do you want me to
What was the
break it
first one?
down? Would
Yeah,
that be
let's
It
break
was,
it down.
do you have any behind the scenes tea? I do have like
Tea.
a little bit of a funny story. You guys know how like All He'll Ever Be mafia romance, like it's my bestseller, everything. So I was writing, I think it's book 2, Heartless, and I took a break because my husband likes to sit down and watch Survivor. And if you know Survivor, you know of Boston Rob. He's a character from Boston, and he was a returning player on a season. And they sent somebody home, right? Only they didn't go home. They went to an island, and then they were able to return. And Boston Rob was kind of in charge as a group, and somebody made a comment that was basically they befriended the guy, patted his back, gave him food, and sent him right back out the door. And Bob was leading the charge, and they made a comment about how it's just like the mafia, like I'll smile to your face, give you a beer, and then slit your throat behind your back. I wrote this scene in, I don't remember if it's in Heartless or not, but one of his men was frustrated that he wasn't starting the war. And like they had somebody die because the other side had killed, blah, blah, blah. So he gives him a beer. And on his way out, he says, shoot him in the head as he leaves. And I was like that because it just at that moment just inspired. I was like, yeah, that is what the mafia would do. And then I went and I was like, this fixes that problem for me.
Yeah.
Like,
That's cool.
I mean, I think all my characters change, because again, I'll start out with the idea, and then as I go, they form themselves. So, or like readers will take on characters that I'm like, oh, I really love them, but they'll give them like Ash. Like I wasn't planning on writing Ash's story at all. Like that was never part of my plan. But yeah, behind the tea. I mean, again, when they just change as I go. So it's like such a slow process or a fast one that I don't think about. But okay, what's the other part of the question? I'm like, okay, we're back.
So did any turn out completely different than when you started writing? Did a character end up with a certain fate you wish hadn't, but it made the most sense?
Well, I can't do from spoilers.
Oh, that is spoilers. I will say when I was writing Tequila Rose, it's like a love triangle. And I thought I knew where it was going to go. And then I doubted myself, and I almost changed the story for book 2. Like I was so torn, and it ended up creating like an emotional scene. And I really love how it turned out. And it went the way that I thought it would, but I almost changed that one. Almost.
Yeah, there's been many times that a character like I've writing a certain way, and then slowly it's like, no, that's not them. Like they'll change themselves during it. But I think the book I'm writing now, I wasn't expecting to go the way it was. Like I mean, I kind of had the elements, but it's kind of turned on me. That I'm like, okay, guess we're going there. And I guess it's going to be $2. Damn it. Do they do that a lot?
Yeah.
So yeah, I end up
Um,
falling in love with my secondary characters a lot because I'll develop them so much that I'm like, they're so cute.
the last part of that was, are there any tropes you want to cover but haven't?
How many tropes? I think I've covered most tropes that I like.
I haven't done an arranged marriage yet. Or a
Mm.
royal, like I would never do historical. I can't do anything
Yeah.
historical. It's
I
too
don't
much
want to.
research.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna mess it up. Yeah, I would legitimately be canceled for that for good reason. I'd be like, you're right. I should not be writing historical. I agree with you.
Yeah. The only way I could do that would be total fantasy that I make up the.
Yeah, and that's what I do. I write fantasy instead of historical because
Yeah.
I'm like, you get the feel of it, but
Yeah.
I don't have to pay attention
I don't have
to
to.
history.
I don't have to study.
Yes, I can make up shit if I want to make up shit.
I mean, there's always like little, I mean, because I do like not mafia, but like, well, one of my books now is coming out that has like that feel to it. So there's always little things I like in other stories, but I don't know about like trope. I'm not.
I'm doing my first
Yeah.
age gap right now, but it's only
I
because
love-
I'm
well, I
writing with
love-
Monica and she does it, and I'm like, okay, if
Okay.
I'm gonna pop my cherry because you're
See,
here
I'm
to
I'm a
like,
reverse
know me.
age gap kind of girl because I like them younger. So I'm like, I do the reverse age gap. That was
Oh,
fun.
there's any-
The one I guess that I'm wanting to do is a kidnap one. That one's on my
oh, that one's
list
excellent.
too. Yeah, that's on another one on my idea list.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that one. I've done it a few times, maybe like a dozen times.
Kidnap.
Write what you're comfortable with.
Exactly.
Write what you don't know.
I got the forced proximity and enemies to lovers. Enemies enemies to lovers. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
You touch or die.
Yes.
One bed.
I haven't done one bed yet. I would totally do a one bed, especially for like a holiday romance. I would
Mm.
do that in a heartbeat. Oh, because it gives you all those warm feelings.
Mhm. How do you organize and keep track of all of your brainstorming, research, prep, how the characters and plot twists tie together, etc.? Whiteboard, digital, or do you actually have the ability to keep it all straight in your brain? Stacy has a Colleen.
That too. Otherwise, it's here.
Yeah. Same. Mine's all in my brain. And I'm writing in a world, like my release is coming out in December. I wrote a standalone for it, not this past summer, but the summer before. And before that, 2 years prior, I wrote 2 duets, and it's just all in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I probably should start writing this down, and I start to, and then I lose the notes. And I mean, there's definitely, again, I think it's if you're a plotter or a pantser, and there's sometimes with my paranormal, there has to be a little bit of plotting, but most of the time they end up working themselves out. And I swear there's more times than not that I'm like, oh my God, thank you. they did it. Or they write it better. Like if I just let them have it, most of the time they've totally like get everything right. But yeah, no, I keep most of it in my head. It's crazy.
I love how you talk about them like they're real people. You're like, if I just give it to them, they're going to work this out.
I do.
I get it. But a lot of our listeners are going to be like,
Real.
who's going to tell her? Who's going to
They
tell her?
listen
that it's
to the
really her?
voices.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
So, when you're both world building, how do you keep it straight? Like, I don't know that I
It
would
just
be able to keep
is.
things straight.
It just is, because when you're thinking about a world and you're in that world, the rules are what the rules are. Like,
Yeah.
and you're just existing in this world where you have these people who feel very real and they have their wants and their needs, and you have a world that exists within these rules, and you just move with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's hard to explain, but yeah, you're just like, because maybe it's a movie in my head, that world exists with them. I mean, it's just how that world is. They couldn't live in this. I mean, this world wouldn't exist without them. So of course, with them, that world exists. I don't know.
And I get so excited when I discover something new about the world that like totally fits and makes sense. And it's exciting. Like,
oh, I love when I surprise myself. Like I'll be writing and I'm like, oh my God, I never saw that coming, but it so works. Yeah.
Same.
Love that. Okay. How
I think our
long
last
does
one.
it take?
I know. I was about to say, is this the
I think
final
this is our
question?
last one for this
This
time.
is
Yeah.
for tonight. It is.
Okay.
And I think you can answer this pretty quickly. That's why
Great.
I'm going to
Yeah.
do this one.
Okay.
How long does it take you to typically write a book from start to finish?
That's such a hard question because it varies for me.
Yeah, me too.
Like I
I
can
mean,
write a book in 2 weeks, or it could take me 6 months. And I write 50,000 words.
Yeah.
It depends on if it's a standalone, if it's part of a world, if it's a dark romance, if it's a light romance, how I'm feeling, whether the kids are in school.
Yeah, no, there's so many elements to that. People, I mean, rough estimate, probably 4 months, 4 months for me for paranormal.
And that's 120,000 for you?
Yeah, around there. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm around
4.5 months. Yeah.
50 to 55,000 is where I aim. My one releasing is 48,000, so it's just
But
shy.
like you said, like if it's during like summer and we're constantly traveling and we're out to this or events start picking up, I mean, that can start being pushed back and pushed back. And then and it takes me so long if I like when I was gone for that month, it still take me like a long time to really get back into the process of like, okay, I'm back in the holidays. And it's just like, there's always something, there's always something that you're like
Mhm.
business part of it. So actually the more you get into this, the less time you find there is for writing. So
Mhm.
actually you like, instead of pushing out more, you find yourself pushing, getting less out and you're like, I
Mhm.
gotta just write. So
Also,
yeah,
my
longer.
darker romances take me longer, I think, because
Yeah.
I'm very careful with the emotions, and I'm like, I have to tread carefully, especially if it's in a world and you have multiple people and you have to be like delicate about where are those people now and how would this person have reacted to things that happened then. And I'm
Yeah.
just so like meticulous and cautious about where I take things in my darker romances. Whereas with my small town, I'm like, fuck yeah. Like I fly through it. I did
Yeah. It
2
can be.
chapters. Was it yesterday? It was either today or yesterday. Time is a construct. I don't know. But it was like in an hour. I wrote 2 chapters. They just flew from me. And I'd seen the scenes in my head a ton. It's not a dark romance. It's a complete standalone. There's nothing I need to. It's excellent
Yeah.
in terms
Yeah,
of
I
just
love
trying
when
to
they
make me feel
fly
good.
out like that.
Yeah, it was wonderful. But it's been a while since I've been able to write like that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
It
Well, that's
depends.
all we're
All
going to
right.
do for this one. But if you want to ask a question, again, it's pinned to our social media, or you can comment on YouTube and I pull from there also. And we'll do another one soon.
and we'll try to answer to the best of our ability and not make too many sarcastic jokes.
Oh, come on. No, I'm out.
That's what we're so good
Yeah.
at, though.
I'm done.
Thank you
All right,
guys for
guys. Thank
listening.
you so much.
Yeah.